Women's sports are grit, talent, emotion, and goosebump moments. But in the middle of all that effort, totally out of nowhere situations also pop up. Things that get laughs, trigger secondhand embarrassment, and go viral in seconds. These are unlikely blunders, unexpected reactions, and scenes nobody imagines will happen in the heat of competition. And that's exactly what you're going to see here today. So drop your like, click the subscribe button below, and let's go. In the middle of the final at the World Athletics Championships of 2019, an unlikely scene stole all the attention. It was supposed to be just another baton exchange at full speed, the kind that lasts less than a second, but the timing simply didn't match. The first athlete arrived before the right mark. Her teammate still wasn't ready to go. The arm stretched out, the baton almost clicked in, but it failed. Instead of moving forward, the two froze for an instant that felt eternal. And then came the strangest part. They started backing up on the track to try to reset the exchange. While the other teams were already flying down half the straight at full speed, those two took a few steps back, tried again, missed, backed up again. It looked like a practice drill, not a world championship final. There were several attempts, all awkward. The baton came close, slipped away, almost fell. Communication seemed to vanish in the middle of the noise, the fatigue, and the pressure, until it finally worked. The baton locked in, the athlete shot down the track and ran with everything she had left. But by then, the race was already decided. The gap was far too big. In the semi-final that secured England's women's rugby team a spot among the 4 best in the world, a moment completely off script ended up becoming the story of the day. During the clash against the United States women's rugby team, valid for the Women's Rugby World Cup of 2017, Captain Sarah Hunter went through an unusual situation right in the middle of a decisive play. England already controlled the match, and one of the most important tries of the afternoon was born precisely from a powerful burst by Sarah toward the try line. The United States defense tried everything to stop the surge. In the middle of the pushing and grappling, an opponent ended up yanking the captain's uniform in a totally illegal way. What nobody expected was that this left the athlete exposed for a few seconds in front of the cameras, showing way too much to everyone in the stadium. Even so, Sarah didn't stop. She kept going, held through contact, and created the space for Marley Packer to score another try for England. By that point, the scoreboard already read 28-0. The lead was huge, and the curious situation didn't change the rhythm of the match at all. In the end, England won by 47-26 and secured the semi-final spot. On social media, the moment became a joke instantly. Some people laughed, others lamented the awkwardness. But on the field, the response was direct. Even going through a live on-air embarrassment, Sarah kept playing like a leader. During a game at the FIBA Women's Under-17 World Championship of 2014, a play so absurd it looks like a practice clip ended up happening live between Mexico's Women's Under-17 team and Slovakia's Women's Under-17 team. And the strangest part wasn't a single mistake, but the fact that everyone bought into it. It all started after a Slovak player missed 2 free throws. Mexico got the rebound. Up to that point, everything was normal, but instead of taking the ball to the correct end of the court, the Mexican player went straight to the very same basket where Slovakia had just been shooting. She went in wide open, unguarded, and made the easiest layup in the world. 2 points went up on the scoreboard. What nobody expected was what came next. Slovakia simply took the ball and ran it up the court, as if that wrong basket was now the right one. But for a few seconds, it looked like both teams had switched sides without anyone noticing. The most impressive part is that the officials let it go on, like everything was fine. No stoppage, no immediate warning. This kind of mistake does happen now and then with a distracted player, but seeing both teams and the referees fall into the same confusion at the same time is incredibly rare. The video went around the world afterward and became that strange reminder that even at the highest level, confusion sometimes beats the rule book. During the face-off before a world title fight, a completely unexpected move changed the mood in the arena. The Swedish challenger Mikaela Loren decided to break protocol in a way nobody saw coming. Instead of just staring down her opponent, she stepped forward and kissed champion Cecilia Brækhus on the lips. The reaction was immediate. Shocked, Brækhus responded with a quick slap, stepped back, and then started laughing at the situation. She even joked with her rival, saying it had been a long time since she'd gotten something like that. The detail is that this wasn't the first time Michaela tried that kind of provocation. Years earlier, in 2013, she had already repeated the gesture against another opponent, showing that this type of strategy was part of her psychological game. The fight was for all the major welterweight belts and was scheduled to take place in Stokke, Norway. Michaela's idea was clear: try to knock the champion off focus before the first punch even landed. Thankfully, despite the slap, the other fighter took it as a joke. In the final stretch of the 100 meters hurdles, when the race seemed like just another straight time decision, something totally off script happened at the OSAA State Track Championships. The athlete who was flying out front decided to turn the finish into a moment nobody would forget. Brooklyn Anderson, a junior at Thurston High School in Springfield, already had a massive lead over the others. The title was basically locked up, but instead of simply crossing the line at full speed, she shocked everyone by performing a series of flips while still on the track. The most impressive part is that she kept total control of the movement. She didn't leave her lane. She didn't lose her balance. She completed the full sequence and still crossed the line in first place, sealing the state title in a way nobody expected to see in a track race. The stadium went crazy. Athletes, coaches, and fans were speechless for a few seconds. When it finally sank in, the screams, laughs, and phones pointed at the track followed. The slow motion replay only made it even more absurd because of how clean it was. A lot of people started saying that if she wanted, she could easily compete in gymnastics too. Proof that talent, when it meets courage, can create moments that become history in seconds. Before the event even started, a moment in warm-ups had already stolen all the audience's attention. The Italian athlete walked into the preparation area like any other competitor, focused, concentrated, breathing deep. Up to that point, nothing was different. What changed was how she decided to loosen up before her presentation. At a certain moment, she spread her legs wide and started doing a sequence of movements that were completely outside traditional warm-up routines. They weren't common stretches, nor exercises most people would recognize right away. The gestures drew attention for their boldness and for how not discreet they were. To top it off, the very tight uniform helped highlight every movement even more, leaving a lot of people unsure where to look. The competitor herself carried on as if nothing was happening. She finished the warm-up, walked to the presentation area, and kept a professional posture. No sign that she cared about the stares or the crowd's reaction. In the middle of a tennis match that was going completely normally, a single point changed everything in seconds. The rally was quick, everyone was focused, when a harder shot ended up hitting the opponent on the other side of the court, right in the body. The impact didn't cause anything serious, but it was enough to set the athlete off. Right away, she stopped and started yelling. The irritation visibly escalated. Still in the heat of the moment, she threw her own racket in the rival's direction. The object flew close, hit the court, and grabbed everyone's attention. Tension took over the place. After that, the athlete walked off the court completely out of control, spewing a string of expletives, gesturing, and showing she had no intention of coming back to the match. Well, it seems some people use sports as a way to dump all their anger. With only a few meters left to the finish line, Spain's Laura Garcia Caro was already celebrating what she believed was the bronze medal. The scene happened in the 20-kilometer race walk at a competition held in Rome in June of 2024. Confident, she raised her arms, clenched her fist, and even accepted a Spanish flag handed down from the stands. The problem is that the race wasn't over yet. While Laura celebrated, coming quietly on the right side was Ukrainian Lyudmila Ulyanovska. In a matter of seconds, she accelerated past the Spaniard at the end of the straight and crossed the line ahead in the direct fight for bronze. The overtake happened practically on the final step. Laura's expression changed instantly. The smile vanished, the arms dropped, and shock was written all over her face. She only realized the mistake when there was nothing left to do. Celebration turned into frustration in less than 2 seconds. The moment was commented on live by former European medalist Tim Hutchings, who described it as one of those times when confidence comes with a steep price. Ulyanovska, who already had a history of medals at major events, secured the bronze. For Laura, it became one of the hardest scenes of her career to swallow. A blunt reminder that in sports, victory only exists when it's over. in a long drive competition, the kind designed to measure power and distance. A moment totally outside the norm ended up going viral years later. The scene resurfaced from a video shown on the program Golf's Amazing Videos. Player lines up, hits the first shot, and the ball flies off crooked, heading straight into the spectators. The shot hits a fan who was watching closely. The reaction in the stands is shock, but nothing seems serious. What nobody expected was what came right after. Without going over to check whether the person was okay, the athlete places another ball on the tee, sets up again, and repeats the swing. To everyone's disbelief, the second ball takes almost the exact same path, and in an absurd irony, it hits the very same spectator for a second time. In the moment, someone in the crowd shouts for her to stop doing that. Years later, the clip resurfaced online and started circulating hard again. Funniest part is that almost nobody remembers the competition's results. What went down in history was this unlikely moment, two bad shots, twice on the same person, one of those episodes only sports can deliver. In the brutal heat of the US Open of 2018, a simple moment became a global debate. French player Alizé Cornet had just returned from the mandatory break cool down. As soon as she stepped onto the court, she realized her top was on backward. She walked to the back, took her shirt off for a few seconds, and put it back on the right way. She was wearing a sports bra, nothing more than that. Even so, chair umpire Christian Rask decided to issue a warning. Cornet couldn't understand the reason. The penalty didn't change the score, but it stamped her with the idea of improper conduct. The detail is that same day, several men's players were taking their shirts off next to their chairs to deal with the heavy temperature, including Novak Djokovic, and nobody said anything. The clip spread fast. Former athletes and coaches pointed out the contrast. Judy Murray commented that it was strange to punish the French player while men did the same thing freely. Fans also highlighted the difference in treatment and called it an unevenly applied rule. The WTA said Cornet had done nothing wrong. Hours later, the tournament itself released a statement admitting the warning had been issued by mistake, and that players are allowed to adjust clothing at the chair, just as men do. It also confirmed that Cornet would receive no fine and no extra penalty. The story drew more attention than the match itself and left a lingering demand that this kind of situation not happen again. At the Diamond League Oslo meet in 2017, Nigerian jumper Blessing Okagbare lived one of those moments nobody forgets, but not because of a medal. Right on her first jump, when she landed in the sand pit, something unexpected happened. The wig she was wearing came loose and got left behind. Despite the embarrassing situation, Okagbare kept her composure. First, she waited for the officials to validate the jump, which measured 6.21 meters, even knowing the mark would be recorded from where the wig fell. Only then did she pick up the accessory and put it back on her head. Problem is that losing the piece made her lose about 30 centimeters in her measurement. Result, even though she chased a better mark, she finished the competition in 7th place. In the end, the jump was overshadowed by the wig that decided to jump on its own. In the final of the 3,000-meter steeplechase at the World Athletics Championships of 2017 in London's Olympic Stadium, one of the strangest scenes of the competition happened in front of everyone. Kenyan favorite Beatrice Chepkoech simply ran straight when she was supposed to take the diversion into the water pit. In the 3,000 steeplechase, athletes must obligatorily clear a barrier and go into the water pit before returning to the track. But Beatrice, who was running among the leaders, completely forgot that detail. While her rivals jumped into the water, she kept sprinting down the straight as if it were a regular race. It only hit her when she saw on the other side the other athletes already coming out of the water. At that point, there was no choice. She had to turn around, run the wrong way, go back to the barrier, and finally do the correct route. In that moment, she went from the lead battle straight to last place. Even so, she showed strength over the following laps. She started passing them one by one and even dreamed of the podium, but the lost time came at a cost. Beatrice crossed the line in 4th place, 6 seconds behind compatriot Hyven Kayeng Jepkamoy. Gold and silver went to the Americans Emma Coburn and Courtney Frericks. For Beatrice, it became one of the most painful turnarounds of her career, a route mistake that cost a world medal and entered the history books as one of track and field's most unlikely scenes. A heartbreaking scene happened on the clay at Roland Garros and caught everyone by surprise. In the women's doubles match in the round of 16, Japan's Miyu Kato and Indonesia's Aldila Suchadi were trying to respond after losing the first set. The pair had lost the opening set in a tie-break, but started the second well and led by 3-1 when everything changed. In a baseline exchange, Kato hit a ball that ended up striking a ball kid. The young girl was very shaken and needed support. Right away, Kato came over to apologize. At first, everything pointed to just a warning, but after a discussion with the officials, the harshest decision came: immediate disqualification of the Japanese player, and as a consequence, the team as well. The reaction was intense. Kato broke down in tears right there on court, being consoled by her partner. The match, which was balanced at that moment, ended right there. As a result, Czech player Marie Boskova and Spain's Sara Sorribes Tormo advanced straight to the quarterfinals. For Kato, it became one of the bitterest eliminations of that tournament in Paris. A fight for a spot in the final, a tense match from start to finish, and a point that changed the mood on court. Carolina Marin and Pusarla v Sindhu were facing each other in a balanced semifinal when things got a little out of hand. In one rally, the shuttlecock dropped near the net. Sindhu went to retrieve it, but at that same instant, Carolina also stepped in and ended up hitting with her racket, knocking the shuttlecock away sharply to the side. The gesture was seen as unsportsmanlike. Right away, the Indian player stopped, looked at her rival, and questioned the move. The two exchanged a few words right there in the middle of the court. Nothing huge, but enough to make it clear that patience had run out at the moment in the match. The officials had to step in to calm things down. After the argument, the punishment came. Both athletes received a yellow card as a warning for their behavior. The match then resumed, with tension still visible in the gestures, the looks, and the harder way every point was contested from then on. On the artistic gymnastics podium at the Olympics of 2024 in Paris, a simple detail ended up stealing the spotlight and winning over the internet. Chinese gymnast Zhou Yaqian had just secured the silver medal in the balance beam final alongside champion Alice D'Amato and bronze medalist Manila Esposito. While photographers called the athletes to pose, the two Italians did the classic gesture of biting the medal. Zhou looked to the side, was visibly surprised for a second, and without thinking much, decided to copy it right away. The result was one of the most spontaneous moments of the entire podium. Afterward, it became clear she didn't even know it was an Olympic tradition. The custom goes back a long time, when people bit gold to test whether it was real. A lot of people found her reaction simply cute and spontaneous, showing that deep down, despite being a great athlete, she was still just a girl. Don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.